Hi everybody, this is Hero from the Birds, back with another Shadowlands video. In this video we're going to continue our discussion of Necrolord Holy Paladin. We've been looking at Marauds, the legendary that allows us to get Light of the Martyr going after we cast Light of Dawn and also to affect our beacons. And in this video I'd like to take a look at a similar kind of legendary that's going to affect our Light of Dawn, but in a slightly different way. We're going to be looking at Shadowbreaker Dawn of the Sun. Shadowbreaker is an interesting legendary in that it's changing the functionality of Light of Dawn, so it's moving it into a larger radius. We know some of this from BFA. We've seen this type of effect before on our Azerite pieces, and in this case it also has slightly altered functionality in that it's going to impact our Word of Glory casts as well. But the long and the short of it is, it basically makes our Light of Dawn hit our ranged players with the same functionality that it would do if they were standing in melee with us. So it's extending the reach of our Light of Dawn, allowing for the choice from that spell to choose people who are further away, and then for a 6-second window, you gain the benefit of mastery as if everyone was standing right beside you in melee range. This is kind of useful, and it's useful especially if you have a lot of mastery. It's useful especially if you have a lot of casts of your holy power spenders. It's not so useful if everybody is stacked all the time for an encounter, or if you're doing a kind of holy light build where you have slightly less intake and spending of holy power. So in general, if you're running a standard Glimmer build, or if you're running Crusader's Might specifically, this kind of legendary will get a lot of value because you have far more casts overall of your holy power spenders. It's also useful on fights like this one in Altimor, where you have the Barghast phase. Barghast is being moved out because the shade needs to be healed. People are going to be further away from you, but you still want to be kind of near the tanks, or you've swapped to the other side and you're hitting the dog and you're aiming your stuff back at the other tank. Your Light of Dawn is going to be able to reach those people. So in this kind of a spread encounter, it's really, really quite useful. If you're doing Dark Vein, for example, where everyone is completely stacked the whole time, hungering Devour as well, it's not as much use. Sire Denathrius Phase 1, where everyone's basically stacked up all the time, also not quite as useful, and the same is true for probably Sludge Fist, because even though you have a kind of ranged group and a melee group ready to go, you have to do kind of 360 no-scope jump and swivel stuff to make it work effectively. So this is not the kind of legendary you want if everybody is all together, and you'll see even on the back half of Altimor where everyone is hanging out in melee, this legendary doesn't get quite as much value as you think it's going to get. So it sort of competes with Shock Barrier in that regard, but it's still, as far as a rotational legendary that's going to do the same kind of work as Shock Barrier, it's not going to alter your rotation too much. It can get a lot of value, and this is especially true if you have high mastery. So if you're sitting at 30% mastery, something like that, maybe 40% mastery, this ability is going to be excellent for you. As far as Necrolord is concerned, it's going to share the same properties as we were talking about with Maraud's legendary, meaning every time we do an encounter, a 5-minute fight, we're going to get access to about 10 extra casts of Word of Glory. Those Word of Glory casts are extra because we are pairing them together with Light of Dawn casts. So we just treat them as bonus Word of Glory casts, meaning your throughput is going to be higher because of this legendary taking advantage of 50% bonus to mastery. Your throughput is going to be higher because you'll have more uptime on Awakening and DP. All of these things are excellent, especially pairs nicely with Crusader's Might to generate lots of holy power. Just wanted to show you guys a very, very brief example of Shadowbreaker here on Altimor to talk about its benefits. It largely is something that you can treat as a passive legendary, much like our Shock Barrier, so it doesn't alter our rotation or our priorities too much, but it has just great throughput, especially for spread healing. So for those of you who are looking for a basic video to see what this was, here it is, and I will do some more testing with this in more difficult content and try to talk through some of the intricacies of the bosses I'm working on with Shadowbreaker to let you know how it feels and what choices I would make for different encounters. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll catch you again next time.